All right, guys, today is an exciting day because I get to do something I've been waiting to do since I bought that bike right there. And that is that the Sportster S is finally getting a set of rear controls. Here we go. So before I get to the installation, I just want to talk about what controls I went with and why, and what's available for this bike. Since I bought it, I knew that the front controls were not for me. I'm more of a sports bike guy. I like my feet either under me or just a little behind. So these front controls, while I did get used to them over the few months I've had this bike, I want to get away from them. So I've been watching the used markets, but I've also been looking at all the options. The Thunder Bike, the Sato, the Harley Genuine kit are the big three, and this one that I'm going to talk about here. But the Harley mids were what I was looking at first, just to keep everything genuine. The problem is they connect to the engine case. They're about maybe a foot back from where the front controls are, and I'm not sure that that's exactly as far as I wanted to go. I wanted to get them a little bit further back, but what really sealed it for me was the nightmare installation process of the mid controls. Looking at videos of guys doing it, looking at the manuals and everything, having to take the bike back to Harley to get the ABS flashed afterward. It was a huge no for me. The cost and the effort just did not add up. The Thunder bikes look great. Me being in Canada, it looked like I could get those at a reasonable price, even less than the Satos actually, and the quality looked great too. The installation on that didn't look terrible, but what I ended up going with is the Satos. So the Satos have two options. They have the regular version or the race version, and this happens to be the race version. Except, let me show you something here. That doesn't say Sato. It says Tramp, because Tramp Racing out of Japan is a big custom bike company that they have over there that they don't have anywhere else. And they happen to work in partnership with Sato to develop these controls, which I did not realize. But after seeing these come up on eBay and doing a little bit of research, they are half the price of a Sato kit. They're the exact same thing. They're one for one. Every bolt, everything is the same. And I ended up jumping on them. So that's what I got, the Tramp Racing Kit, which actually is the Sato Racing Kit. So that's what I'm going to be installing today. And the nice thing about it is that they came mostly pre-assembled. So let me take it over to the bench there and show you what I'm working with. Before I do that, I just want to mention that the Sato Racing Kit, I was actually just going to go with the regular Sato. That would have been my preference at first because I don't think I want to go too far back with these. But I actually mocked them up on the bike, just kind of stuck them on with the bolts and so on, and found that this is exactly the position I'm looking for, I think. They're also adjustable. They have 3 position adjustments. So once I get them on there, if I find it's not what I want, I can always play with it. But yeah, the Sato Racing Kit, you'll see once you get it on what it looks like, but I think it's pretty cool. So for me, because I bought these used, they were mostly pre-assembled. The kit, if you buy it from Sato or Tramp, as it is, will not come like this. It'll come slightly assembled, but if you use these diagrams, it'll just tell you exactly which bolt needs to go where. And I would say use these diagrams because looking at the instruction manual, the instruction description, I should say, that came with it, they're very vague. It just says basically remove your old controls, put your new controls on, and that's it. So I'd suggest going with these. Use the diagram to build your rear sets up to this point before you get them on, and then you'll see I did kind of mock these on a little bit, so it was very easy to get on the left side. The right side, we're going to have to do some brake line bending, so that'll be a little bit more complex, but I'm going to start with the left side, and I think I'll be able to knock that out in like half an hour, which is pretty good considering what what the Harleys take to install. So let's start on the left. Okay, so here we are on the left side of the bike, and if you look at the engine casing, you'll see 1, 2, and 3 bolts there, plus this bolt right here. That's what's going to hold the shifting side on. So basically this is going to sit just like that, and we're going to go ahead, prep those, and put them on. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our T30 Torx, and we'll crack that one, and this upper bottom one off. Next, we're going to use that same T30 and we'll pop this shifter linkage off. Okay, so we're going to take our engine casing bolts, put them to the side, and grab our Sato Racing bolts. We're looking at these three, and they're going to be going 1, 2, and 3, using the 2 smaller spacers in the top 2 holes and the larger spacer in the bottom, right into the 3 holes you replaced there. For the swing arm pivot, which is this hole here, we'll be taking our larger bolt like that, put the spacer on the other side, just like that, and we're going to stick it through and right into that hole there. On all of these bolts, use your blue Loctite. Make sure nothing comes out. You don't want that coming out while you're riding. So once you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts on, your left side control is done. All that's left is to remove the front. But what I'm going to do is just get on this bike and just, again, confirm that that's the position I want. I suggest you do that too, because they're adjustable and you can move everything around. So I'm going to do that, and I'll get back to it with removal of the front left. So another advantage of the Sato Racing and the Thunderbike actually is that you don't have to reuse any of the stock Harley parts. Peg-wise, anyway. So one of the cool things you could do is actually just pop the shifter lever and shift rod off, and just leave that as a front peg so you can stretch out on the highway or wherever you want. And that's an option I'm going to consider. I might throw it back on in the future, but for now I think I'm just going to pop everything off, let the bike be a little cleaner. But your case might be different. The thing we need to do is take this left side cowl off, and that's going to be the standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts on the cowling there. I think they're all T30s or T25s or something. But, you know, I may be able to just pull 1, 2, and 3 off, lean that down and pull the controls off. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, so I can confirm just taking those front 1, 2, 3 bolts off, we can pull this down and get to all the bolts we need to get rid of that front control. And there you go, front controls are off. Everything is here. That took me probably about 20 minutes. I ended up stripping a screw in there, so we won't count that. These are T40s, by the way. Yeah, is it 40? Yeah, T40s when you get into here. And I had the 40 out. I threw the 35 or the 30 on the gun and went, oh no. Anyway, so I ended up having to cut a slot in there. That's not really fastened in. It's just a spare for now, just filling the hole. But forget about my screw-ups there. Yeah, about 20 minutes on the left side. Let's move over to the right side, which I'm not really excited about doing with it being the brake line. Okay, so moving on to the right side here. First thing we're going to need to do is get this cowling off. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the bolts. Pull that off so we can expose the brake line and get the controls removed, because we're going to use the master cylinder on the back there. Okay, so with that cowling cover off, this is where things get a bit hairy. As you can see, we've got a brake line here and the flexible part here, and then it goes into the cylinder and the reservoir is up here. So a couple things to look at. One of the bolts holding on the front brake control is located right there behind this pin, so we're going to need to remove that pin and swing this out of the way to get to that bolt. The other thing is that the other bolt is really deep in there and looks pretty difficult to get to. So I'm going to pop this reservoir off to make a little bit more space, and then we'll see what we're working with. Okay, so it looks like if we take the master cylinder off there, we'll be able to get to this. So let's go with, looks like a T30 on these. We'll take that off first, put that to the side, and we'll take this bolt off next. I took the front one off, and I'm able to just hold it down there while I take this other one off. That way it doesn't go crazy. I don't lose it or cause any damage to it while I take the controls off. So I'll do that. This might be a T40. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like a 40. So 40 on this one, 30 on these two. Okay, this bolt was very difficult to get to, but this is how I did it. I just have my ratchet with the attachment on there. I took off the reservoir, and I was able to get it in there. It's a bit difficult to do like this, and a bit difficult to get an angle on, but yeah, that tool in there, just like that, I was able to crack it off. So I'm going to take that out. Hopefully this comes off. Yeah, it looks like that's the only bolt securing it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I now have the master cylinder off of the front controls there. And what we need to do, can you see it? Yeah, is take this attachment hardware off of the front. So I already took a wrench, put one on here, put one on there, and broke that open. And then we can just spin this off just like that. I would be pretty careful not to spin the rod, that the plunger rod that goes into the cylinder, just because you don't want to damage anything in there. There's also this little washer here that I'm going to have to pry off. So I'll grab a little flathead, probably pry that off, and then I'll be able to take the end of this off. All right, so I used my flathead. I was able to pry that off, and we can just spin the rest of this off, just like that. And now this little attachment is what's going to go on to the end of the plunger rod. So I could probably spin that on right now, but I want to think about this brake hose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rear controls, put them on there, see how much, how I need to bend this thing and where, because it's not really clear from the instructions or anything else I could find where exactly on this hose I'm going to need to bend. And it's going to be like a U, so I don't want to do it here if that's too short, but I don't want to do it here if that's too long, you know what I mean? So I'll put that on, I'll kind of gauge it and see where we go from there. Okay, so let's look at getting this on. Basically, what we have here, if you see that big black threaded part, that's a part that actually goes into here. And what that's going to do is it goes in individually first, and then the screw goes in. So let me pull this out. It's going to take two hands. And then this part is going to go into this hole right here. And you've got a nut on one side. So the screw's going to go through, the nut's going to go on the back, and this big thing is a spacer. So I'm going to put that on. You'll see what it looks like. And then we'll try the cylinder. Okay, so that side is on. Now we're going to grab the cylinder and bend it and attach it here. So if we look at it like this, we'll probably take that little bolt off there so we can get to the middle. It's looking like probably closer to the back is where I want to bend, I'd say. Probably around here, and that's a pretty difficult place to bend. So let's see how we're going to do this. So I ended up removing the back bolt as well, the one that connects to get the line nice and free for me to bend it. Looking at this, it looks like probably where that label was would be a good place to bend. So I'm going to go about here, try and do a 90 and then a 90, so make a 180 bend, which will send the cylinder back there. And hopefully I don't screw it up because this is my first time bending a brake line. Here we go. Okay, so I think that was I think that was the most stressful part of this whole process, and it's over, so that's great. I was able to use my little, line bender there, and get it to 90 degrees, and then I had to improvise a little bit to get it to 180. So if your tool goes 180, that's great. If not, play around with it a little bit, use your brain. But I'm going to throw this on there and make sure the distance is long enough, which I believe it is. And just for reference, I took that label off and I went just a little behind the label. So I said I was going to go here. I went probably more like there. And this is what it looks like. Let's see how it goes. All right, I'm going to pause my 80s Super playlist and show you where I've got. So I bent the line back. I've routed the master cylinder up through here. Pay attention to how I did that. connected it, and then the reservoir goes back along like this, and it's going to come up like this. Now there's a little adapter that looks like that we're going to throw on here, so it's not too kinked and it works. And then here, this was contacting a little bit, and I didn't want the vibrations to go crazy, so I took the metal bracket off, sprayed this down with just some water, and slid that down. So if this shakes, it's got that rubber vibration buffer there that used to be a bit further up on the line. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to get that reservoir on. I'm going to tighten everything up and then button it all up. And I think I've got myself some rear controls. Here we go. So there we go. Everything's tightened. Everything looks good. It all works. And we've got rear brakes. So last thing to do before I put everything together, and this isn't part of the kit, but look at that. I think this is an oil cooler from what my research tells me. And it's nice and bright and shiny, and we just exposed it because we took off the front brake control. So what I got is an oil cooler cover. And it's gonna go on there. I just ordered this off of AliExpress, but it's well made. It looks good. It was very cheap. Just gonna take off those bolts, throw that on, and then I'll put everything back together, and we'll see what it looks and feels like. So here we are. The rear controls are on. The bike looks great. I think it looks a lot cleaner like this. Yeah, just sleeker, overall better. But the real test is how it rides. Okay, so I'm back. I just took it for a couple minutes out on the road just to see what it feels like. And right away, first impressions was that the bike felt a little bit easier to tip. It made me want to like dig into the corners a little bit more, which is cool. I wouldn't say it's a complete game changer. There are some things that need to be done here. I think if we drop these bars a little bit, that'll help with the sportier position, and then maybe go with a thinner front tire. That might get the bike handling exactly like a sport bike like I want. But I'm going to do the front handlebars because I have them coming. And there are a couple of small things that I want to adjust on these controls. So the back brake felt a little bit weak. I think if I play with the length there, maybe I can change the stroke. And then on the clutch side, I don't like these pegs. I think I'm going to replace these with something a little bit bigger. They're not bad, but I feel like my boots slip off of them. But other than that, hey, this was totally worthwhile. I love the position. I love the change here. And when I get these next few mods on, I think it's going to be epic. So if you want to see that, give me a like and a subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks.